Most of us don't say, Lord, spit on me. But it worked. He came back seeing. And sometimes, as I told you last week, we have to go and be in some uncomfortable places for God to really work on us like he wants to work on us. We can't tell God how to bless us. And the blind man lets us know that not only do you have to ask God to let God bless you, but Jesus said that I must work the works of him that sent me while it is day, because the night is coming when no man can work. And I want you to know, not only must Jesus work the work, but you have to work the work that he worked in order for it to work. I'm going to say that again because I lost some of you. You fell off the truck. You must work the work that he worked in order for it to work. The blind man just didn't sit there. He did what Jesus told him to do. He found his way to the pool and he watched. Some of us want God to do great things for us, but when he tells us to go, we sit. When he tells us to prepare, we sleep. When he tells us to get ready, we make excuses. In order to get the blessing, it will not fall in your lap. Praying for a job, you got to prepare and go look for one and know how to dress on an interview, bless God. Want to be married, you got to know how to prepare before you get married. And understand that when you get married, you ain't going to have everything your own way unless you married the Burger King. You got to prepare for the blessing. You ought to thank you somebody. If you don't, what's wrong with you? You ought to know that if you're a child of God, you are a royal priesthood. You are a chosen generation. If you don't think you somebody, something wrong with you. That's why you let people walk over you, because you don't think you somebody. I've learned that I can be saved and don't have to let nobody walk all over me. I've learned I can be saved and ain't got to be a doormat. I've learned I can be saved and stand my ground. I've learned I can be saved and hold my head up. I've learned I can be saved and I got to bow down to nobody. About the blind man, debating over who he is. They said, well, let's bring him to the Pharisee. Because people, again, are comfortable as long as you hear. And they there. That's what's wrong in this country somewhat. Some people can't handle the progress of change. That's why you see so much anger. Long as there's been a White House. Black folks have worked in the White House. But then when a black man lived and a black family lived in the White House, it brought a lot of anger out. They were used to us being there. That ain't nothing new. But as long as we were washing the dishes and cooking the food and mopping the floors, people can't handle when God makes a difference. So let's go to the church. Let's go to the religious people. Let's look at what they have to say about it. You know, because some people, they're so religious, they rule God out. They're so traditional, they can't let God move. Has to be the same way every Sunday. Has to look the same way, sound the same way. If anything happens unusual, they think something is wrong. If you start praising God, they say it don't take all of that. If you don't go just by the program, they upset. But I want you to know that you can be religious and still lost. Everybody want to know, how did you get healed? Same story. A man named Jesus put the blood on my eye, told me to go wash, and I was made whole. They didn't believe it. Took me to the Pharisee. How did you get made whole? A man named Jesus put mud on my eye. I went and washed, and I was made whole. I said, go get his mom and his daddy. For some reason or another, that ain't good enough. Isn't it amazing how some folk will ask you the same question over and over again? Well, how did you make it through that? How you didn't lose your mind? How did you get that job? How did you survive going through what you survived? And like the blind man, you ought to have the same answer. A man named Jesus. I said, a man named Jesus stepped into my situation, picked me up and turned me around. A man named Jesus opened doors that I couldn't open. A man named Jesus kept me from losing my mind. A man named Jesus healed my body. Then you meet somebody else, there they go, with the same question. How did you get well so fast when the doctor said you wouldn't make it? A man named Jesus. Somebody praise the name. Something about that name. Power in that name. That power. I said power. Wonder-working power. In the name. In the name. Demons tremble. In the name. The sick are saved. In the name. You got power. In the name. I dare you when you get home to walk up in your house and say, in the name